Hey there, friend. Let me ask you something real quick. Picture this for a second. We all get the same deal, right? 24 hours in a day. Not a minute more, not a minute less. It's the great equalizer. The same 24 hours that Jeff Bezos uses to build Amazon into a trillion-dollar empire. The same 24 hours that Serena Williams uses to dominate tennis courts worldwide. The same 24 hours that your favorite entrepreneur uses to launch that startup you admire. And guess what? It's the exact same 24 hours you and I get every single day. So here's the million-dollar question. Why do some people turn those hours into empires, championships, and legendary achievements, while others barely make it through the day feeling like they accomplished anything meaningful? What's the real difference? Is it talent? Is it luck? Is it some secret superpower they were born with? Nope. The answer is simpler and more powerful than you think. It's how they spend those hours. It's the choices they make, minute by minute. It's whether they waste time or invest time. And trust me, there's a massive difference between the two. Now, I want you to do something for me. Take a hard look at your typical day. I mean, really look at it. From the moment you wake up to the moment your head hits the pillow at night, how many hours are you genuinely spending on things that move you closer to your dreams? And how many hours just vanish into thin air? Scrolling through social media, binge-watching shows you've already seen, endless group chats that lead nowhere, hitting snooze 5 times when you know you should get up. Here's the brutal truth most of us don't want to admit. We think we're busy. We feel busy. We tell everyone we're busy. But being busy and being productive are two completely different games. You can be busy all day and still end up exactly where you started. It's like running on a treadmill. Lots of effort, lots of sweat, but you haven't moved an inch forward. I read something that blew my mind recently. There was this study done at a major university where they tracked how people actually spend their time versus how they think they spend their time. The results were shocking. Most people believed they worked hard for 8 to 10 hours a day. But when researchers actually tracked their activity, the real productive work, it averaged around 3 hours. 3 hours! The rest was meetings that could have been emails, coffee breaks that turned into hour-long chats, and constant context switching between tasks. Think about that for a moment. If you could just focus those wasted hours on what actually matters, imagine where you'd be in 6 months, in a year, in 5 years. The compound effect would be absolutely mind-blowing. Your growth wouldn't just be linear, it would be exponential. We're talking 10x growth, my friend, and that's exactly what this audiobook summary is about. This book, How to Stop Wasting Time, 10 Habits for 10x Growth, isn't just another productivity manual filled with fluff and theory. It's a practical roadmap, packed with 10 specific habits that successful people use to transform their relationship with time. These aren't complicated tricks or life hacks that sound good but never work in real life. These are battle-tested habits that have helped countless people go from wasting their days to investing their hours like precious currency. Throughout this summary, I'm not just going to list these habits for you. That would be boring and useless. Instead, I'm going to break down each habit, explain why it works, share real stories of people who've used it, and most importantly, show you exactly how to implement it in your own life starting today. Not tomorrow, not next Monday, today. But before we dive in, I need you to do something. It's going to feel a little weird, but trust me on this. I want you to make a promise to yourself right now. Out loud if you can, or in your head if somewhere public. Say this: I will not waste time anymore. Go ahead, say it. I will not waste time anymore. This isn't just some motivational mumbo-jumbo. This is your line in the sand. This is you telling the universe, and more importantly, telling yourself that you're done with the old way. You're done scrolling away your potential. You're done hitting snooze on your dreams. You're ready to take control of your time and, by extension, take control of your life. Because here's what most people don't realize. Time is the only resource you can never get back. You can make more money. You can find new friends. You can move to a different city. You can start over in a new career. But time? Once it's gone forever. Every minute you waste is a minute you'll never see again. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. So let's make these next few minutes count. Let's dive into these 10 habits that will transform how you use your time and multiply your results. Let's turn you into someone who doesn't just stay busy, but actually makes progress. Someone who doesn't just dream, but builds. Someone who doesn't waste time, but invests it wisely. Are you ready? Let's go. Habit number 1. Plan your day, or your day will plan you. All right, let's start with the foundation. Habit number 1 might sound simple, but I promise you, it's the game changer that separates the successful from the stuck. Here it is. Plan your day before your day plans you. Think about it. How do most people start their morning? The alarm goes off. They grab their phone, still half asleep. They check Instagram, scroll through some reels, read a few messages, maybe watch a TikTok or two. Suddenly, 30 minutes have passed and they haven't even gotten out of bed yet. Then they rush through getting ready, maybe skip breakfast, and head out the door already feeling behind. The whole day becomes reactive instead of proactive. They're responding to whatever comes their way instead of directing their energy toward what actually matters. Sound familiar? If you're nodding right now, you're not alone. This is how 90% of people operate. They wake up without a clear plan and just let the day drag them wherever it wants to go. And then they wonder why they feel exhausted at the end of the day, but can't point to any meaningful accomplishment. It's because they never took control. They never planned. Here's a powerful quote I came across from a brilliant military strategist and later president, someone who had to manage impossible decisions and limited time. He said, "Plans are useless, but planning is everything." At first, That sounds contradictory, right? But think about what he means. The specific plan might change as situations evolve. Unexpected things will happen. But the act of planning, of sitting down and thinking through your priorities, that's what gives you the mental clarity and direction you need. It's like having a compass. Even if the path changes, you know which direction you're heading. Let me share a story that really drives this home. There's this entrepreneur I know. Let's call him Marcus. Marcus used to be all over the place. He'd wake up, check his emails, see something urgent from a client, spend 2 hours fixing that problem, then realize he forgot about a meeting, rush to that meeting unprepared, and by the end of the day, he'd be completely drained. He was busy all day, every day, but his business wasn't growing. He was stuck at the same revenue level for 2 years straight. Frustrated doesn't even begin to describe how he felt. Then Marcus met a mentor who asked him one simple question. "Do you plan your day?" Marcus laughed and said, "I don't have time to plan. I'm too busy dealing with everything that comes up." His mentor looked at him and said something that changed everything. "That's exactly why you need to plan. You're not too busy to plan. You're busy because you don't plan." That hit Marcus hard, so he decided to try something new. Every evening before bed, he'd spend just 10 minutes writing down the 3 most important tasks for the next day. Not 10 tasks, not 20, just 3. These had to be tasks that would actually move his business forward. Building relationships with potential clients, working on his new product, creating content that attracted his ideal audience. The next morning, before checking any messages or emails, he'd tackle those 3 tasks first. The change was dramatic. Within 3 months, Marcus's business started to grow again. Within a year, he'd doubled his revenue. Why? Because he finally took control of his time instead of letting his time control him. He planned his days around what mattered most, not around whatever seemed urgent in the moment. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds great, but how do I actually do this? How do I plan my day effectively? I'm glad you asked. Let me break it down into a simple system you can start using tonight. First, pick your planning time. This is crucial. You need to decide whether you're a night planner or a morning planner. Some people like to plan the night before so they wake up with clarity. Others prefer to plan first thing in the morning with a fresh mind. Either way works, but you have to pick one and stick with it. Consistency is key here. Second, identify your top 3 priorities. This is where most people mess up. They try to plan 20 different tasks, and then they feel overwhelmed before they even start. Don't do that. Instead, ask yourself, what are the 3 most important things I must accomplish today to move closer to my goals? Notice I said must, not should or could. These are non-negotiable. These are your big rocks. Everything else is just gravel that fills in around them. Here's a critical point. These 3 tasks should be things that create long-term value, not just short-term relief. Answering emails might feel productive, but it's not moving you forward. That's maintenance work. Your top 3 should be growth work. Things like learning a new skill, working on your side project, having a meaningful conversation with someone who can help your career, creating something valuable. Those are the tasks that compound over time. Third, time block your day. This is a technique used by the most successful people in the world. Instead of having a vague list of things to do, you assign specific time blocks to each task. For example, 9 to 11 a.m. might be deep work time for your most important task. 11 to 11:30 might be exercise. 11:30 to 12:30 might be emails and communication. When you time block, you create a structure that protects your priorities from getting hijacked by random distractions. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. There's a psychological principle at play here called the Zeigarnik effect. It's named after a Russian psychologist who discovered that people remember incomplete tasks better than completed ones. When you plan your day and write down your tasks, your brain gets invested in completing them. It doesn't like leaving things unfinished. So, by planning, you're actually leveraging your brain's natural tendencies to help you follow through. But let's be real for a second. Planning alone isn't enough. You've probably made plans before and then completely ignored them by 10 a.m., right? We all have. So, what's the missing piece? It's this. You need to protect your plan from the biggest enemy of productivity in the modern world. And that enemy has a name. It's called distraction. That's where our second habit comes in. But before we get there, let me give you one more practical tip about planning. At the end of each day, do a quick review. Look at your plan and ask yourself, did I accomplish my top 3 priorities? If not, what got in the way? This reflection is powerful because it helps you identify patterns. Maybe you're always getting derailed by the same type of interruption. Once you see the pattern, you can fix it. I've been using this planning system for the past 3 years, and I can honestly say it's transformed how I work and live. I used to feel like I was always behind, always chasing, always stressed. Now I wake up knowing exactly what I need to do. Even if unexpected things come up, and they always do, I have my compass. I know what matters, and that makes all the difference. So, here's your action step for habit 1. Tonight, before you go to bed, take out a notebook or open a note on your phone. Write down 3 things you will accomplish tomorrow. Not things you hope to do, or things that would be nice to do. 3 things you will do. Make them specific and make them meaningful. Then, tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you open your email, tackle those 3 things. Just try it for 1 day and see how different you feel. Trust me, this one simple habit will give you more clarity and control than you've felt in a long time. And when you have that control, you're not wasting time anymore. You're investing it. You're building something. You're moving forward. All right, now that you understand the power of planning your day, let's talk about the number 1 killer of those carefully made plans. Let's dive in to habit number 2. Habit number 2. Beat distractions or they'll beat you. Okay, so you've done the work. You woke up early, you made your plan, you wrote down your 3 most important tasks for the day. You're feeling motivated and ready to crush it. You sit down at your desk, open your laptop, and then, ding, a notification pops up. It's a message from a friend. You think, oh, I'll just quickly reply. You open the app, and while you're there, you see a funny video someone shared in a group chat. You watch it. Then you see another one, and another one. Before you know it, 20 minutes have passed, and you haven't even started your first task yet. Sound familiar? Of course it does. Because this is the reality for almost everyone in the modern world. We live in the age of distraction. Our phones, our computers, our entire environment is designed to grab our attention and never let go. Social media apps hire teams of psychologists to make their platforms as addictive as possible. Every notification, every like, every comment is engineered to trigger a little dopamine hit in your brain that makes you want more. And here's the scariest part. Most people don't even realize how much time they're losing to distractions. They think they worked for 3 hours straight, but in reality, they checked their phone 15 times, jumped between 5 different browser tabs, and never actually achieved deep focus. The work feels hard because they're constantly context switching, but the output is minimal. There's fascinating research on this from Stanford University. Researchers studied people who regularly multitask with multiple streams of media at the same time. You know, the people who are watching a video while texting while browsing the web. What they found was shocking. These heavy multitaskers performed worse than people who focused on one thing at a time. Not just a little worse, significantly worse. They couldn't filter out irrelevant information. They couldn't organize their thoughts as well. And get this, they couldn't even switch between tasks as efficiently as people who normally focused on one thing at a time. The very thing they practiced constantly, they were actually worse at. But here's the really disturbing finding. When you get distracted from a task, it takes an average of 23 minutes to get back to the same level of focus you had before the interruption. 23 minutes. Think about that. If you check your phone just 5 times during a focused work session, you've lost nearly 2 hours of productive time. That's why you can be working for 8 hours and only get 2 hours of actual work done. Let me tell you a story about someone who figured this out the hard way. There's this writer. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah had always dreamed of writing a novel. She had the ideas, she had the talent, and she even set aside time every morning to write. But after a year, she'd barely finished 3 chapters. She was frustrated and confused. She was showing up every day, sitting at her computer for 2 hours. So why wasn't the book getting done? Then, one day, Sarah installed a time-tracking app on her computer, just out of curiosity. The results shocked her. In her 2-hour writing sessions, she was only actually writing for about 35 minutes. The rest of the time was spent checking email, looking at social media, reading articles, and basically doing everything except writing. She was physically present, but mentally she was scattered across a dozen different places. That realization was brutal, but necessary. Sarah decided to make a drastic change. She bought a basic laptop with no internet connection. She left her phone in another room. She set a timer for 90 minutes and made a rule. During those 90 minutes, she would do nothing but write. No checking anything, no just quick breaks, nothing but writing. The transformation was incredible. Within 3 months, Sarah had finished her entire first draft. The book that had taken a year to barely start was suddenly done. Same person, same talent, same time investment. The only difference? She eliminated distractions. She protected her focus like it was the most valuable thing in the world. Because it was. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. That's great for a writer, but I need to be available. I need to respond to messages. I can't just disappear for 90 minutes. I hear you, but here's the thing. You're overestimating how urgent most things are. Very few things in life require an immediate response. Most things can wait an hour or two. And the irony is, when you protect your focus time and actually get important work done, you become more valuable and more respected, not less. Let me give you some practical strategies to beat distractions in the real world. Strategy 1. Create digital boundaries. This is non-negotiable. Put your phone on airplane mode, or at least on Do Not Disturb, when you're doing focused work. Better yet, put it in another room. Out of sight, out of mind. Turn off all notifications on your computer, except for truly critical ones. And be honest with yourself. Very few notifications are truly critical. You don't need to know the instant someone likes your post or adds you to a group chat. Strategy 2. Use focus blocks. This is similar to time blocking your day, but with an extra layer of intentionality. A focus block is a period of time, usually 60 to 90 minutes, where you work on one single task with zero distractions. No phone, no email, no side conversations. Just you and the work. After the focus block, you can take a 5 to 10 minute break to check messages, stretch, grab water, whatever. Then back into another focus block. Here's a pro tip. Stack your focus blocks in the morning when your mental energy is highest. Most people waste their best hours on shallow work like email, and then try to do deep work when they're already tired. Flip that script. Do your most important, focus-intensive work first thing in the morning. Use the afternoon for meetings, communication, and administrative tasks that don't require deep focus. Strategy 3. Design your environment for focus. Your environment shapes your behavior more than you realize. If your desk is cluttered, your mind will feel cluttered. If your workspace has constant visual distractions like a TV or busy street view, your focus will suffer. Create a designated work zone that signals to your brain, when I'm here, I focus. Keep it clean, keep it organized, and remove anything that might tempt you to procrastinate. I know someone who took this to an extreme. He's a software developer, and he was struggling with productivity. So he set up 2 completely different workstations in his apartment. One desk facing a blank wall with 0 decorations, just his computer and a lamp. That was his focus station. The other desk was comfortable with nice views and his phone nearby. That was his communication and admin station. By physically moving between spaces, he trained his brain to switch modes. When he sat at the focus desk, his brain knew, we're here to work deeply. It sounds simple, but it worked incredibly well for him. Strategy 4. Use the 2-minute rule for interruptions. This comes from productivity expert David Allen. If something comes up that takes less than 2 minutes to handle, do it immediately and get it out of your head. But if it takes longer than 2 minutes, write it down on a list to handle later during a designated admin block. This prevents small tasks from derailing your focus while ensuring nothing important gets forgotten. Strategy 5. Practice saying no. This is the most underrated strategy for protecting your focus. Every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. If you say yes to a random coffee meeting that doesn't align with your goals, you're saying no to focused work time. If you say yes to joining another committee or group, you're saying no to personal projects. Learn to politely decline things that don't serve your priorities. Your time and focus are your most valuable assets. Guard them fiercely. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room: social media. I'm not going to tell you to delete all your apps and go live in a cave. That's not realistic for most people. But I am going to tell you that you need to establish clear boundaries with social media, or it will eat your life. Here's what I recommend. Designate specific times of day for social media. Maybe 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at lunch, and 30 minutes in the evening. Outside of those windows, the apps are closed. Better yet, delete the apps from your phone and only access social media on your computer. This creates just enough friction to break the automatic habit of opening the app every 5 minutes. Also, be ruthless about unfollowing and muting. Your feed should inspire you and add value to your life, not drain your energy with negativity and comparison. If following someone makes you feel bad about yourself or wastes your time with drama, unfollow them. No guilt. Your mental space is precious. Let me share one more powerful concept with you. It's called attention residue. This was discovered by a researcher named Sophie Leroy. She found that when you switch from one task to another, your attention doesn't immediately follow. Part of your mind is still thinking about the previous task. This residue makes you less effective at the new task. The more you switch, the more residue builds up, and the worse your performance gets. This is why eliminating distractions is so powerful. When you work on one thing for an extended period, you're not just getting more done because you have more time. You're getting exponentially more done because your brain can fully immerse itself without attention residue slowing you down. You enter what psychologists call a flow state, where work feels effortless and time flies by. That's where the magic happens. Here's your action step for habit 2. For the next 3 days, track your distractions. Every time you get distracted, make a note of it. What was the distraction? How long did it take you away from your work? At the end of 3 days, look at your list. I guarantee you'll be shocked at the patterns you see. Maybe it's always the same person messaging you at the wrong time. Maybe it's a specific app you can't resist. Once you identify the pattern, you can create a specific strategy to eliminate it. Remember, Distractions don't just waste your time, they steal your potential. Every hour you spend mindlessly scrolling is an hour you could have spent building something, learning something, or becoming someone better. The choice is yours. You can let distractions control you, or you can take control of your attention and focus it on what actually matters. So let's make a commitment right now. From this moment forward, you will treat your focus like the precious resource it is. You will protect it, you will defend it, and you will use it to create the life you've always wanted. Because here's the truth. When you combine habit 1, planning your day, with habit 2, beating distractions, you create an unstoppable force. You know what needs to be done, and you have the focus to actually do it. That's when real progress happens. That's when 10x growth becomes possible. In the next section, we're going to build on this foundation with habit 3, which will teach you how to invest your energy in the right places instead of spreading yourself too thin. But for now, take a moment to really absorb what we've covered. Planning and focus. These two habits alone will transform your productivity if you commit to them. Are you ready to keep going? Good. Let's dive into the next level. Habit number 3. Invest your energy in the right places. Don't scatter it everywhere. All right, my friend, now that you've learned how to plan your day and protect your focus, we need to talk about something even more fundamental. It's something most people completely overlook, and it's costing them years of progress. I'm talking about energy management. Here's the thing. Even if you plan your day perfectly and eliminate all distractions, you can still end up exhausted with nothing meaningful to show for it. Why? Because you're spending your precious energy on the wrong things. You're spreading yourself too thin across activities that don't actually move the needle. You're busy, yes, but you're not making progress. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine your energy as a battery. Every morning you wake up with a fully charged battery. Let's say it's 100%. Now, every activity you do throughout the day drains that battery. Some activities drain it fast, some drain it slow, but it's always draining. By the end of the day, you're running on empty, and you need to sleep to recharge. Here's the critical question. What are you spending that battery on? Are you investing it in high-value activities that compound over time and bring you closer to your goals? Or are you wasting it on low-value activities that give you nothing in return? Most people, and I mean the vast majority, waste their battery on things that don't matter. Pointless arguments, endless scrolling, worrying about things they can't control, trying to please everyone, doing tasks that someone else could easily handle. And then they wonder why they feel drained all the time, but have nothing to show for it. It's because they never learned to be strategic with their energy. They treat it like it's unlimited when it's actually their most finite resource. Let me tell you about someone who figured this out. His name is Charlie, and he's a graphic designer. A few years ago, Charlie was struggling hard. He was working 12-hour days, taking on every client project that came his way, saying yes to every networking event, trying to learn 5 different design software programs at once, and attempting to maintain a presence on every social media platform. He was the definition of hustle culture. But here's the thing. Despite all that effort, his business was barely surviving. He was making just enough to pay his bills and nothing more. He was exhausted, burned out, and on the verge of quitting. Then Charlie had a conversation with a successful designer he admired. Let's call him Robert. Robert had built a thriving design agency and seemed to work half the hours Charlie did while making 10 times more money. Charlie asked him the obvious question, "How do you do it? What's your secret?" Robert laughed and said, "It's not a secret. I just stopped trying to do everything and started focusing only on what I'm exceptional at. I only take clients who value my specific style. I only work on projects that excite me and pay well. I delegate everything else. I'm not trying to be everywhere. I'm trying to be the best in one specific place." That conversation changed Charlie's life. He realized he'd been spreading his energy across 100 different things, becoming mediocre at all of them instead of excellent at one thing. So he made some hard decisions. He picked one design niche, luxury brand identity. He stopped taking cheap projects just because they were available. He stopped trying to master every software and instead became exceptional at the 2 tools he loved most. He deleted 3 out of 4 social media accounts and focused on building a strong presence on just one platform. The result? Within 6 months, Charlie's income tripled. Within a year, he was fully booked with high-paying clients and had a waiting list. Same person, same skills. The only difference was he learned to invest his energy strategically instead of scattering it everywhere. This principle applies to every area of life. If you're a student, you can't study every subject with equal intensity and expect to excel at everything. You need to identify which subjects need the most attention and which ones you can maintain with less effort. If you're building a business, you can't chase every opportunity and every trend. You need to focus on the 1 or 2 strategies that actually generate results. If you're trying to improve your health, you can't do every diet and every workout program simultaneously. You need to pick one approach and commit to it fully. There's a concept in economics called the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule. It states that roughly 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. Think about that. Most of what you do barely moves the needle. Only a small fraction of your activities create the majority of your outcomes. The problem is, most people spend their time and energy on the 80% that doesn't matter, instead of doubling down on the 20% that does. Let me give you a practical framework to help you identify where your energy should go. It's called the energy audit. Here's how it works. Step 1. For 1 full week, track everything you do and how much energy each activity takes. And I mean everything. Work tasks, personal tasks, social activities, entertainment. Everything. At the end of each day, rate each activity on 2 dimensions. First, how much energy did it take? Low, medium, or high? Second, how much value did it create? Low, medium, or high? Step 2. At the end of the week, categorize your activities into 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1 is high energy, high value. These are your most important activities. Things like deep work on your most critical projects, strategic planning, learning high-impact skills, building key relationships. This is where you should be spending the majority of your energy. Quadrant 2 is low energy, high value. These are efficient wins. Activities that don't drain you but still create significant value. Things like automated systems, delegation, established routines, leveraging existing relationships. You want more of these because they give you great return on investment without burning you out. Quadrant 3 is high energy, low value. These are your energy vampires. Activities that exhaust you but don't actually contribute to your goals. Things like attending meetings that go nowhere, perfectionism on unimportant details, doing work that should be delegated, engaging in drama or conflict. These need to be eliminated or drastically reduced. Quadrant 4 is low energy, low value. These are time wasters, mindless scrolling, binge-watching shows you don't even enjoy, gossip, excessive planning without action. These also need to go. Once you've done this audit, the path forward becomes crystal clear. You need to ruthlessly cut Quadrant 3 and 4 activities and redirect that energy into Quadrant 1 and 2 activities. Sounds simple, right? But here's why most people never do it. Cutting things out feels uncomfortable. It means saying no. It means disappointing people. It means admitting that some things you've been doing are actually useless. But here's the truth you need to accept. Every yes to a low-value activity is a no to a high-value one. Every hour you spend on something that doesn't matter is an hour stolen from something that does. You cannot have everything. You cannot do everything. You have to choose. And the people who achieve 10x growth are the ones who make hard choices and protect their energy like their life depends on it. Because it does. Let me give you another real example. There's an entrepreneur named Lisa who runs a successful online coaching business. A couple years ago, she was constantly stressed and overwhelmed. She was creating content every single day, responding to every comment and message personally, attending every virtual networking event, and trying to be active in multiple online communities. She felt like she was working non-stop, and she was. But her business growth had plateaued. Then Lisa hired a business coach who asked her a simple question. What activities directly lead to clients paying you? Lisa had to think about it. After some analysis, she realized that only 3 activities actually brought in clients: speaking at virtual summits, one-on-one discovery calls, and her weekly email newsletter. Everything else, all the daily content creation, all the comment responding, all the networking events, they made her feel busy, but they didn't generate revenue. So Lisa made a radical change. She cut back on daily content and instead focused on getting booked for more speaking engagements. She hired a virtual assistant to handle comment responses. She stopped going to networking events and used that time to improve her discovery call process and write better emails. She went from working 60 hours a week to working 30 hours a week. And her revenue? It doubled in 4 months. Same person, same market. The only difference was strategic energy investment. She stopped doing everything and started doing only what actually worked. Now, I want to address something important. Some of you might be thinking, but I don't have the luxury of cutting things out. I have responsibilities. I have obligations. I get it, and I'm not saying you should ignore your genuine responsibilities. But I am saying you need to get honest about what's truly a responsibility and what's just something you've convinced yourself you have to do. Do you really have to attend every family gathering, even the ones that drain you and add no value to your relationships? Do you really have to stay in that volunteer position that you're only doing out of guilt? Do you really have to maintain friendships with people who constantly bring negativity into your life? Sometimes the most responsible thing you can do is protect your energy so you can show up fully for the things and people that truly matter. Here's your action step for habit 3. This week, do the energy audit I described. Track your activities, rate them on energy and value, and categorize them into the 4 quadrants. Then identify 3 activities from quadrant 3 or 4 that you're going to eliminate or delegate. And identify 1 activity from quadrant 1 that you're going to double down on. Make these changes and watch what happens. Remember, your energy is not unlimited. It's a precious resource that recharges slowly and drains quickly. The difference between people who achieve extraordinary results and people who stay stuck is simple. The successful ones protect their energy fiercely and invest it strategically. The stuck ones scatter it everywhere and wonder why they're always exhausted with nothing to show for it. Don't be the second person. Be the first. Guard your energy, invest it wisely, and watch your results multiply. Now, let's move on to habit 4, which addresses one of the biggest energy drains and time wasters in existence. It's something almost everyone struggles with, and it's probably holding you back right now as we speak. Let's talk about procrastination. Habit number 4. Beat procrastination or it will beat you. Okay, let's get real for a minute. You know exactly what needs to be done. You've made your plan. You've identified your priorities. You've protected your focus time. You sit down ready to work on that important task, and then something happens. Your brain says, you know what? Let's just check email real quick first. Or, maybe I should clean my desk before starting. Or, I'll definitely do it after lunch when I have more energy. Before you know it, hours have passed. The day is almost over. The task is still sitting there, unfinished, mocking you. And you feel guilty and frustrated because you knew you should have done it. You had time to do it, but somehow you just didn't. Welcome to procrastination, the silent killer of dreams and destroyer of potential. Here's what makes procrastination so dangerous. It's not that you're lazy. It's not that you don't care. In fact, often the things we procrastinate on most are the things we care about the most. We procrastinate on important projects, on difficult conversations, on creative work, on anything that matters deeply to us. Why? Because when something matters, there's pressure. there's the possibility of failure. There's discomfort involved, and our brain's primary job is to avoid discomfort and seek comfort. So your brain, trying to protect you, comes up with 1,000 reasons why now is not the right time. I'm not prepared enough. I need to research more. I'm too tired right now. I'll do it better tomorrow when I'm fresh. This other small task needs to be done first. These all sound reasonable in the moment, but they're just excuses. Clever, convincing excuses that keep you stuck. Let me tell you about a guy named James. James had a dream of starting his own podcast. He'd been thinking about it for 3 years. 3 years! He had the equipment, he had the ideas, he had the potential audience, but he never started. Every week he'd tell himself, "This is the week I'll record my first episode." And every week he'd find a reason not to. The microphone settings weren't quite right. He needed to research his topic more. His intro music wasn't perfect. He wanted to plan out the first 10 episodes before starting. It was always something. Then, one day, James listened to an interview with a successful podcaster who said something that hit him like a punch to the gut. The best time to start was 3 years ago. The second best time is now. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. They don't exist. Just start, even if it's messy. That was James's wake-up call. That very night, he sat down, hit record, and created his first episode. It wasn't perfect. His audio had some issues. He stumbled over his words. He didn't have fancy music. But you know what? It was done. He published it, and something magical happened. Once he got that first episode out, the second one was easier. And the third one was easier still. 6 months later, he had 20 episodes published and a growing audience. A year later, his podcast had opened up new career opportunities he never imagined. The thing that changed? He stopped procrastinating and just started. Imperfect action beat perfect planning every single time. Now, let's talk about why we procrastinate and how to beat it. There are several psychological reasons behind procrastination, and understanding them is the first step to overcoming it. Reason 1 is fear of failure. When a task feels important, we're afraid of not doing it well enough. So, ironically, we avoid doing it at all. It's a weird form of self-protection. If you never try, you never fail, right? Wrong. Not trying is the biggest failure of all. Reason 2 is perfectionism. This is closely related to fear of failure. We tell ourselves we'll start when conditions are perfect, when we know enough, when we have enough time, when we're in the right mood. But perfect conditions never arrive. Perfectionism is just procrastination in disguise. Reason 3 is the task feels overwhelming. When something is too big or complex, our brain doesn't know where to start, so it just doesn't start. It's like standing at the bottom of a mountain and feeling paralyzed because the peak looks so far away. Reason 4 is low immediate consequences. When something isn't due until next week or next month, it doesn't feel urgent, so we push it off in favor of things that feel more pressing, even if they're less important. This is called the urgency trap. Understanding these reasons is helpful, But what you really want is solutions. How do you actually beat procrastination? Let me give you 5 powerful strategies that work. Strategy 1 is the 2-minute start rule. This is different from the 2-minute rule we talked about earlier. Here's how it works. Instead of committing to finishing the entire task, just commit to working on it for 2 minutes. That's it. Just 2 minutes. Tell yourself, I'll just work on this for 2 minutes, and if I want to stop after that, I can. Here's the magic. Once you start, momentum takes over. The hardest part of any task is starting. Once you're in motion, it's actually easier to keep going than to stop. So that 2-minute commitment usually turns into 20 minutes or 2 hours. But even if it doesn't, even if you only work for 2 minutes, that's still progress. And progress, no matter how small, breaks the procrastination cycle. Strategy 2 is task breakdown. If a task feels overwhelming, break it into tiny, manageable pieces. Let's say you need to write a report. That feels huge and vague. So break it down. First, I'll create an outline. That's one small task. Then, I'll write the introduction. That's another small task. Then, I'll research 3 key points. Another small task. Suddenly, instead of one massive, scary project, you have a list of small, doable steps. And small steps don't trigger procrastination the same way big ones do. I know someone who used this strategy to write his first book. The idea of writing a whole book paralyzed him. So he broke it down. He committed to writing just 500 words a day. That's about 2 pages. Some days he wrote more, but he never let himself write less. 500 words felt doable, not scary. Within 6 months, he had a complete first draft of 75,000 words. All because he broke an overwhelming task into a daily habit he could manage. Strategy 3 is setting deadlines with consequences. Our brain responds to deadlines, especially when there are real consequences for missing them. If something is due whenever you feel like getting to it, you probably never will. But if it's due next Friday and someone else is counting on you, suddenly you find the motivation. So, create artificial deadlines with real stakes. Tell a friend, I'm going to finish this project by next Monday, and if I don't, I'll donate $100 to a charity. Or, I'll send you my completed draft by Thursday, and you can hold me accountable. When there's something real on the line, procrastination becomes much harder. Strategy 4 is implementation intentions. This is a fancy psychological term for a simple concept. Instead of saying, I'll work on this sometime tomorrow, say, tomorrow at 9 a.m., I will sit at my desk and work on this task for 90 minutes. Be specific about when, where, and how you'll do the task. Research shows that people who use implementation intentions are 2 to 3 times more likely to follow through on their goals than people who keep things vague. Strategy 5 is the 5-second rule, popularized by Mel Robbins. When you feel the urge to procrastinate, count backward from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then immediately take action. Don't think, don't debate, Don't negotiate with yourself. Just move. The counting interrupts your brain's habit of talking you out of doing things and gives you a little jolt of momentum to push through the resistance. Let me share one more story. There's a woman named Rachel who struggled with procrastination her entire life. She had so many unfinished projects and unfulfilled goals that she'd started to believe she was just not a finisher. Then she learned about something called temptation bundling. The idea is simple. Pair something you need to do with something you want to do. Rachel loved listening to her favorite podcast, but she hated going to the gym. So she made a rule. She only allowed herself to listen to that podcast while working out. Suddenly, going to the gym became something she looked forward to, because it meant she got to enjoy her podcast guilt-free. She bundled the temptation with the task, and it worked. She went from never working out to going 5 times a week consistently. You can apply this to almost anything. Hate doing administrative work? Pair it with your favorite music or a special coffee you only have during admin time. Struggling to make sales calls? Reward yourself with a small treat after every 5 calls. Find creative ways to make the thing you're avoiding more enjoyable. Now, here's something crucial to understand. You will still feel resistance even after implementing all these strategies. That's normal. Resistance doesn't go away. But action makes resistance irrelevant. You don't have to feel like doing something to do it. You don't have to be motivated to take action. In fact, it's usually the opposite. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. Think about it. Have you ever forced yourself to start exercising even though you didn't feel like it, and then after 10 minutes, you actually started enjoying it? Have you ever dragged yourself to start a project, and once you got into it, you hit a flow state and didn't want to stop? That's because action generates energy and motivation. Waiting for motivation before taking action is backwards. You'll be waiting forever. There's a powerful quote I love. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop overthinking and overplanning. Just start. Messy action beats perfect planning every single time. Here's your action step for habit 4. Right now, think of one task you've been procrastinating on. Something important that you keep pushing off. Got it? Good. Now apply the 2-minute start rule. Set a timer for 2 minutes and start working on it immediately after finishing this section. Not later, not tomorrow, now. Even if you only work for 2 minutes, you'll have broken the procrastination pattern, and chances are you'll keep going longer than 2 minutes. Procrastination is a habit, and like any habit, it can be broken. But it requires conscious effort and the willingness to push through discomfort. Every time you beat procrastination, even in a small way, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching yourself that you can do hard things. You're building self-trust, and over time, taking action becomes easier and easier until it's your new default. So let's make a commitment. From now on, when you catch yourself procrastinating, you're going to recognize it for what it is. A trick your brain is playing to keep you comfortable. And you're going to push through anyway, because you know that your dreams don't happen in your comfort zone. Growth happens when you do the thing even when you don't feel like it. All right, we've covered a lot of ground in this section. You've learned how to invest your energy strategically instead of scattering it everywhere. And you've learned how to beat procrastination and take action even when you don't feel like it. These two habits, combined with planning and focus from the previous section, create a powerful foundation for productivity. But we're not done yet. In the next section, we're going to dive into two more critical habits. We'll talk about setting priorities, so you always know what deserves your attention and what doesn't. And we'll discuss why taking care of your physical and mental health isn't optional if you want sustainable 10x growth. Take a breath. Let this information sink in and get ready for the next level, because we're just getting started. Habit number 5. Set clear priorities or everything will feel urgent. Let me ask you something. Have you ever reached the end of a busy day and thought, I was running around like crazy all day, but what did I actually accomplish? You answered emails, you attended meetings, you put out fires, you checked things off your to-do list, but somehow the important stuff, the stuff that would actually move your life forward, didn't get done. Sound familiar? This is one of the most common problems people face. They confuse being busy with being productive. They mistake motion for progress. And the root cause is simple. They haven't set clear priorities. Without priorities, everything feels equally important. Every notification, every request, every task seems urgent and necessary. So you spend your day reacting to whatever comes your way instead of proactively working on what truly matters. Let me introduce you to a framework that changed my life and has helped millions of people get clarity on their priorities. It's called the Eisenhower Matrix, named after President Dwight Eisenhower, who famously said, "What is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important." This guy had to make life and death decisions daily, so he knew something about priorities. Here's how the matrix works. Every task you face falls into one of 4 categories. Category 1, urgent and important. These are genuine crises, things that must be done now and actually matter. A medical emergency, a critical deadline for a project that impacts your career, a major problem that will get worse if you ignore it. These tasks deserve your immediate attention. Category 2, important but not urgent. This is where the magic happens. These are activities that don't scream for attention, but are crucial for long-term success. Things like strategic planning, learning new skills, building meaningful relationships, exercise and health maintenance, working on your passion project. These activities never feel urgent because they don't have immediate consequences. But they're the most important things you can do. They're investments in your future. Category 3, urgent but not important. These are the deceptive ones. They feel urgent because someone else needs them, or because they create noise and pressure. But they don't actually contribute to your goals. Things like most phone calls and messages, many meetings, other people's emergencies that they try to make your problem. interruptions and distractions disguised as important requests. These tasks should be delegated, minimized, or politely declined. Category 4. Not urgent and not important. These are pure time wasters. Mindless scrolling. Binge-watching shows you're not even enjoying. Gossip. Excessive gaming. Anything that doesn't enrich your life or move you forward. These should be eliminated completely. Now, here's the insight that most people miss. The secret to productivity isn't working harder on everything. It's spending more time in Category 2 and less time in Categories 3 and 4. Most people spend their entire lives in Category 1, fighting fires, and Category 3, responding to other people's urgencies. They feel exhausted and overwhelmed. Meanwhile, they completely neglect Category 2, which is where real growth happens. Think about it. If you spent just 2 hours a day on Category 2 activities, learning a valuable skill, building a side business, improving your health, strengthening key relationships, where would you be in a year? In 5 years? You'd be in a completely different place. But most people never spend any time on Category 2 because it never feels urgent. And that's exactly why they stay stuck. Let me tell you about a friend of mine named Daniel. Daniel is a lawyer, and for years he was drowning. He worked 12-hour days, constantly putting out fires for clients, attending emergency meetings, responding to urgent emails at all hours, was making decent money, but he was miserable. He had no time for his family, no time for his health, no time to think about his future. He was trapped in Category 1 and 3, reacting to urgency every single day. Then Daniel hired a productivity coach who introduced him to the Eisenhower matrix. The coach asked him to track his time for 2 weeks and categorize every activity. When Daniel saw the results, he was shocked. He was spending less than 10% of his time on Category 2 activities. Almost 90% was Categories 1 and 3. No wonder he felt stuck. So Daniel made some hard decisions. He started blocking off 2 hours every morning for Category 2 work, before checking email or taking calls. During those 2 hours, he worked on building systems to prevent future crises. He learned new legal strategies that made him more efficient. He invested time in deepening relationships with his best clients instead of chasing every new lead. He also started delegating and saying no to requests that weren't truly important. The transformation was remarkable. Within 6 months, his stress levels dropped dramatically. His income actually increased because he was working smarter. He had time for family dinners again. He started exercising. And here's the kicker. He was working fewer hours than before. How? Because he prioritized ruthlessly and focused on what actually mattered. Now, let's talk about how you can apply this in your own life. The first step is awareness. For the next week, keep a running list of everything you do and how much time you spend on it. At the end of each day, categorize each activity using the Eisenhower matrix. Be brutally honest. That 2-hour meeting you attended, was it really important or just urgent because someone scheduled it? That time you spent scrolling social media, where does that fit? Once you have a week's worth of data, analyze it. What percentage of your time is in each category? If you're like most people, you'll find you're spending way too much time on categories 3 and 4 and almost no time on category 2. That's your wake-up call. Step 2, redesign your schedule. Start blocking time for category 2 activities. Treat these blocks as sacred. They're non-negotiable appointments with your future self. If someone asks you to do something during your category 2 time, you say no. Not maybe, not I'll try, just no. Politely but firmly. I'm not available at that time. Can we find another time that works? This brings me to one of the most important skills you can develop, the ability to say no. Listen, every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. If you say yes to a meeting that doesn't serve your goals, you're saying no to working on your passion project. If you say yes to scrolling for an hour, you're saying no to learning something valuable. You can't do everything. You have to choose. And here's what most people don't realize. When you say no to the right things, you're actually saying yes to yourself. You're saying yes to your priorities, your goals, your future. Successful people are masters at saying no. They protect their time and energy like a fortress. They understand that every minute is a choice, and they choose wisely. I know someone who took this to an extreme, and it paid off massively. Her name is Amanda, and she's an author. When she decided to write her first book, she knew it would require deep focus and significant time investment. So she made a radical decision. For 6 months, she would say no to almost everything that wasn't essential. No social events unless they were important family occasions. No volunteering commitments. No taking on extra projects at work. No starting new hobbies. Her friends thought she was crazy. Some people were offended when she declined their invitations. But Amanda stuck to her priorities. Every evening after work and every weekend, she wrote. 6 months later, she had a completed manuscript. 2 years later, that book became a bestseller and launched her career as a full-time author. All because she was willing to say no to good things so she could say yes to the great thing. Now, you might be thinking, but I have responsibilities. I can't just say no to everything. And you're right. There are genuine obligations you can't ignore. But I'd challenge you to examine whether all the things you think you have to do are actually obligations or just habits and people-pleasing. Do you really have to attend every social gathering you're invited to? Do you really have to be on every committee at work? Do you really have to respond to every message within 5 minutes? Most of the urgency in our lives is self-imposed or imposed by others who don't respect our time. When you set clear priorities and communicate them, most people will understand and respect your boundaries. Here's a practical tip. Create a not-to-do list alongside your to-do list. Write down the activities and commitments you're going to stop doing or drastically reduce. This is just as important as planning what you will do. Maybe your not-to-do list includes checking email before noon, attending meetings without a clear agenda, saying yes to every request, or scrolling social media first thing in the morning. Write it down and commit to it. Another powerful strategy is the rule of 3. At the start of each day, identify 3 priorities, not 10, not 20, 3. These are the things that must get done today for you to feel like the day was successful. Everything else is secondary. If you complete your 3 priorities, the day is a win, no matter what else happens. This simple practice keeps you focused on what truly matters instead of drowning in a sea of tasks. Let me share one more concept that ties all of this together. It's called opportunity cost. Every choice you make has an opportunity cost, meaning what you're giving up by making that choice. If you choose to watch Netflix for 3 hours, the opportunity cost is the 3 hours you could have spent on something more valuable. If you choose to attend a meeting that wastes your time, the opportunity cost is the productive work you could have done instead. Successful people think in terms of opportunity cost constantly. Before saying yes to anything, they ask, "What am I giving up if I do this? Is this worth the trade-off?" Most people never ask this question. They just say yes automatically and then wonder why they never have time for what matters. Here's your action step for habit 5. Right now, take out a piece of paper and write down your top 3 priorities for the next 3 months. Not your tasks, your priorities. What are the 3 most important areas where you need to make progress? Maybe it's advancing in your career, improving your health, and building a side business. Maybe it's finishing your degree, strengthening your relationship, and learning a new skill. Whatever it is, write it down. Now, look at your calendar for next week. How much time have you allocated to these 3 priorities? If the answer is little to none, that's your problem. Your actions don't match your stated priorities. Time to redesign. Block time for what matters. Say no to what doesn't. And watch your life transform. Remember, priorities aren't about doing more. They're about doing less, but doing the right things. It's about being ruthlessly selective with your time and energy. Because when you're clear on your priorities, decisions become easy, time management becomes simple, and progress becomes inevitable. Now let's move on to habit 6, which addresses something that people often sacrifice in pursuit of productivity. But, ironically, neglecting this one thing will destroy your productivity faster than anything else. Let's talk about your health. Habit number 6. Don't ignore your health. A weak body can't support a strong mind. Here's a question for you. What's the point of achieving all your goals if you're too sick, exhausted, or burned out to enjoy them? What good is success if you've destroyed your health getting there? Yet, this is exactly what so many people do. They sacrifice sleep to work longer. They eat junk food because it's convenient. They skip exercise because they're too busy. They ignore stress until it becomes chronic. And then they wonder why they feel terrible and can't perform at their best. Let me be blunt. Your body is not separate from your productivity. It's the foundation of everything. A weak, unhealthy body cannot support a strong, focused mind. You cannot think clearly when you're sleep-deprived. You cannot maintain energy when you're eating garbage. You cannot manage stress when you never move your body. It's physically impossible. Think of your body like a high-performance car. If you never change the oil, never put in quality fuel, never maintain the engine, what happens? Eventually, it breaks down. It doesn't matter how expensive the car was or how much potential it had. Without proper maintenance, it will fail. Your body is the same way. Neglect it, and it will fail you when you need it most. I know what some of you are thinking. I don't have time for health stuff. I'm too busy building my career, my business, my future. I used to think the same way. I'd work 14-hour days, survive on coffee and fast food, sleep 4 or 5 hours a night, and tell myself I'd focus on health later when things slowed down. Guess what? Things never slowed down, and my body made me pay the price. I started getting sick constantly. My focus deteriorated. I'd sit at my desk for hours but accomplish half of what I used to. I was irritable, anxious, and constantly exhausted. And the worst part? My work quality dropped. I was putting in more hours but getting worse results. It wasn't until I nearly collapsed from burnout that I realized the truth. Taking care of my health wasn't a luxury I'd get to eventually. It was a necessity that determined everything else. Let me tell you about someone who learned this lesson in a powerful way. His name is Michael, and he's a tech entrepreneur. In his 20s, Michael was the definition of hustle culture. He'd pull all-nighters regularly, brag about sleeping 4 hours, eat pizza and energy drinks for every meal, and mock people who took time for exercise as not serious about success. And for a while, it seemed to work. He built a successful startup and was making good money. Then one day, Michael passed out in a meeting. He ended up in the hospital. The doctors ran tests and gave him a wake-up call he couldn't ignore. His blood pressure was dangerously high. His cholesterol was through the roof. He was pre-diabetic at age 29. The doctor looked at him and said, "If you don't change your lifestyle immediately, you're headed for a heart attack before you're 35. Is your business worth dying for?" That question hit Michael hard. He realized he'd been operating under a false belief. He thought sacrificing his health would help him succeed faster. But the truth was the opposite. His declining health was sabotaging his success. He was less productive, less creative, and less capable than he could be. So Michael made a radical change. He started prioritizing health as much as he prioritized work. And something unexpected happened. His business grew even faster. How is that possible? Because when Michael fixed his health, everything else improved. He had more energy, so he could focus better during work hours. He slept better, so his decision-making improved. He felt better mentally, so he was more creative and innovative. He wasn't working more hours, but he was working much more effectively. Health wasn't costing him success, it was enabling it. Now, let's talk about the practical elements of maintaining your health while pursuing ambitious goals. There are 4 pillars you need to get right. sleep, nutrition, movement, and mental health. Let's break each one down. Pillar 1 is sleep. This is non-negotiable. Sleep is not wasted time. It's when your brain consolidates memories, processes information, and repairs itself. Study after study shows that people who sleep 7 to 8 hours perform better cognitively than people who sleep less. They make better decisions, solve problems faster, and are more creative. Yet we live in a culture that glorifies sleep deprivation as if it's a badge of honor. Let me be clear. If you're regularly sleeping less than 7 hours, you're not hustling, you're hurting yourself. Your productivity is suffering even if you don't realize it. The science is unambiguous on this. Lack of sleep impairs cognitive function more than being legally drunk. Would you show up to work drunk and expect to perform well? No? Then stop showing up sleep-deprived. Here's what you need to do. Set a non-negotiable bedtime that allows you to get 8 hours of sleep. Create a wind-down routine. Turn off screens an hour before bed. Keep your bedroom cool and dark. Be consistent with your sleep schedule, even on weekends. I promise you, the 2 extra hours you gain by sacrificing sleep are not worth the cognitive decline you experience the next day. Pillar 2 is nutrition. You've heard the saying, "You are what you eat." It's literally true. The food you consume becomes the cells of your body and the neurotransmitters in your brain. If you're eating processed junk, that's the fuel your body has to work with. No wonder you feel sluggish and foggy. You don't need to become a nutrition expert or go on some extreme diet. Just follow some simple principles. Eat mostly whole foods, vegetables, fruits, lean proteins, whole grains, healthy fats. Minimize processed foods, sugar, and excessive caffeine. Drink plenty of water. Meal prep if you can, so you're not making food decisions when you're tired and hungry. And please, stop skipping meals because you're too busy. That's like refusing to put gas in your car because you're in a hurry. It doesn't make sense. Pillar 3 is movement. Your body was designed to move. When you sit all day, every day, your health deteriorates rapidly. Your metabolism slows down. Your muscles weaken. Your cardiovascular system suffers. Mental health declines. Exercise isn't just about looking good. It's about functioning optimally. And here's the good news. You don't need to spend 2 hours in the gym every day. Even 30 minutes of moderate exercise 5 times a week makes a massive difference. Go for a walk. Do some bodyweight exercises at home. Play a sport you enjoy. Anything that gets your body moving and your heart rate up. The key is consistency, not intensity. A little bit every day is far better than nothing all week, and then trying to make up for it with a brutal workout on Saturday. I'll tell you a secret. Some of my best ideas come during exercise. There's something about physical movement that unlocks creativity and clarity. Many successful people, from Steve Jobs to Mark Zuckerberg, were known for having walking meetings. They understood that movement enhances thinking. So, if you're stuck on a problem or need to make a decision, go for a walk. You'll be amazed at what happens. Pillar 4 is mental health. This is the one people ignore most often because it's not visible. You can't see stress, anxiety, or burnout the way you can see physical illness. But mental health is just as important, maybe more so. Chronic stress literally shrinks your brain's prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for decision-making and self-control. It weakens your immune system. It disrupts your sleep. It destroys your quality of life. You need practices that help you manage stress and maintain mental well-being. For some people, that's meditation or mindfulness. For others, it's therapy or journaling. For some, it's spending time in nature or with loved ones. Find what works for you and make it a regular practice. This isn't optional. It's essential. I started meditating 3 years ago, just 10 minutes a day. At first, it felt like a waste of time. My mind raced the whole time, and I didn't see the point. But I stuck with it because people I respected swore by it. After a few weeks, noticed something. I was calmer. I didn't react as strongly to stressful situations. I could focus better. Now, I wouldn't skip my meditation any more than I'd skip brushing my teeth. It's that important. Here's what you need to understand. Taking care of your health is not selfish. It's not a luxury. It's a responsibility. When you're healthy, you show up better for your work, your family, your goals. You have the energy and clarity to tackle challenges. You have the resilience to keep going when things get tough. You're not just surviving, you're thriving. And here's the ironic part. The people who say they don't have time for health are the ones who need it most. When you're healthy, you're more efficient. You get more done in less time. You have fewer sick days. You make better decisions. So investing time in your health actually creates more time because you're operating at a higher level. Here is your action step for habit 6. This week, pick one health habit to improve. Just one. Maybe it's going to bed 30 minutes earlier. Maybe it's replacing your afternoon soda with water. Maybe it's taking a 15-minute walk every day. Maybe it's trying meditation for 5 minutes before bed. Pick one thing, commit to it for a week, and notice how you feel. Once that becomes a habit, add another one. Small changes compound over time. Remember, 10x growth isn't just about working harder or longer. It's about optimizing your entire system. And your body is the system that runs everything else. Neglect it at your own peril. Prioritize it and watch everything else fall into place. We've covered a lot in this section. You've learned how to set clear priorities so you're always focused on what matters most. And you've learned why health is the foundation that makes everything else possible. These two habits, combined with everything we've covered so far, create a powerful framework for sustainable, long-term growth. But we're not done yet. In the next section, we're going to explore 2 more critical habits. We'll talk about the importance of continuous learning and why your environment shapes your success more than you think. Get ready, because this is where things get really interesting. Habit number 7. Never stop learning. Growth comes from continuous education. Picture this. You buy a brand new smartphone. It's top of the line, cutting edge, the best technology available. But here's the catch. You never update it. No software updates, No new apps, no improvements. What happens after a couple of years? It becomes slow, outdated, incompatible with new technology. Eventually, it becomes useless, and you have to replace it. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth. The same thing happens to you if you stop learning. Your skills become outdated. Your knowledge becomes obsolete. The world moves forward, and you get left behind. In today's rapidly changing world, if you're not growing, you're dying. There's no standing still. You're either moving forward or falling backward. Think about it. The job you have today might not exist in 10 years. The skills that made you successful 5 years ago might be irrelevant tomorrow. Technology is advancing faster than ever. Industries are being disrupted overnight. The only way to stay relevant, valuable, and competitive is to never stop learning. Education isn't something that ends when you finish school. It's a lifelong commitment. There's a brilliant quote I love. The person who thinks they know everything has stopped learning, and the person who knows they know nothing never stops. It's a paradox, right? The more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know, and that awareness drives you to keep learning. Meanwhile, people who think they've figured everything out stagnate. They stop growing because they think there's nothing left to learn. Let me tell you about someone who embodies lifelong learning. You've probably heard of Richard Branson, the billionaire entrepreneur behind Virgin Group. Here's a guy who dropped out of school at 16. He had dyslexia and struggled academically. By traditional education standards, he shouldn't have succeeded. But Branson never stopped learning. He read voraciously. He asked questions constantly. He surrounded himself with experts and absorbed their knowledge. He learned from every success and every failure. Today, Branson has built hundreds of companies across dozens of industries. How? Because he never assumed he knew it all. Even now, in his 70s, worth billions of dollars, he's still learning, still reading, still asking questions, still growing. That's the mindset of someone who achieves extraordinary things. They understand that learning is not a phase of life, it's a way of life. Now, let's bring this closer to home. Think about your own life. When was the last time you deliberately learned something new? Not something you had to learn for work or school, but something you chose to learn because you wanted to grow. When was the last time you read a book that challenged your thinking? Took a course that expanded your skills? Had a conversation that opened your mind to new possibilities? If you're struggling to answer these questions, you're not alone. Most people stop actively learning once they finish formal education. They fall into routines. They coast on what they already know. And slowly, without realizing it, they become less valuable in the marketplace and less fulfilled in their lives. But here's the good news. Learning is easier and more accessible than ever before. You have the entire world's knowledge at your fingertips. Free courses online, millions of books, podcasts, YouTube tutorials, documentaries. You can learn almost anything from anywhere at any time. The only thing stopping you is you. Let me share a story that illustrates this perfectly. There's a woman I know named Jennifer. Jennifer worked in accounting for 15 years. She was good at her job, comfortable, making decent money. But she felt stuck. She wasn't excited about her work anymore. She knew she needed to make a change, but she didn't know what to do. Then Jennifer started listening to business podcasts during her commute. Just 30 minutes a day. She wasn't trying to change careers or start a business. She was just curious. But those podcasts exposed her to ideas she'd never considered. Entrepreneurship, digital marketing, online business models. She got inspired. So she started reading books on these topics. Then she took a free online course on digital marketing. Then another on web design. Within a year, Jennifer had learned enough to start a side business helping small companies with their online presence. Within 2 years, that side business was making more money than her accounting job. She quit and went full-time. Today, she runs a successful digital agency with multiple clients and employees. All because she committed to learning 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes a day. That's it. That's all Jennifer invested. But she did it consistently, day after day, month after month, and it transformed her entire life. That's the power of continuous learning. Small, daily investments compound into massive results over time. Now, let me give you a practical framework for making learning a habit in your life. I call it the three-pronged learning approach. It's simple but powerful. Prong 1 is reading. Make reading a daily, non-negotiable habit. Even if it's just 15 or 20 minutes before bed. Read books that challenge you, expand your thinking, and teach you valuable skills. Mix it up between business, psychology, biographies, self-improvement, and topics that interest you. If you read just 20 pages a day, that's about 2 books a month, 24 books a year. In 5 years, you'll have read over 100 books. Imagine how much you'll grow, how many ideas you'll have, how many skills you'll develop. And here's a tip. Don't just read passively. Read actively. Take notes. Highlight important passages. Ask yourself how you can apply what you're learning. The goal isn't to finish books. The goal is to absorb knowledge and implement it. 1 book fully absorbed and applied is worth more than 10 books skimmed and forgotten. Prong 2 is learning from people. Every person you meet knows something you don't. They have experiences you haven't had, perspectives you haven't considered. So make it a habit to learn from people. Ask questions. Listen deeply. Seek out mentors or advisors who are where you want to be. Join communities of people who share your interests or goals. Have meaningful conversations instead of small talk. I make it a point to have at least 1 conversation per week with someone I can learn from. Sometimes it's a formal mentorship relationship. Sometimes it's just grabbing coffee with someone interesting. But I always come away with new insights. And here's what's amazing. Most successful people are happy to share their knowledge if you're genuinely interested and respectful of their time. Don't be afraid to reach out. The worst they can say is no. Prong 3 is skill acquisition. In addition to general learning, Focus on deliberately developing new skills. These should be skills that are valuable in the marketplace or meaningful to your personal goals. Maybe it's public speaking. Maybe it's coding. Maybe it's video editing or graphic design. Maybe it's a new language. Pick one skill at a time and commit to getting good at it. There's a concept called the learning curve. When you start learning something new, progress is slow and frustrating. You're terrible at it. But if you push through that initial discomfort and practice consistently, you hit a tipping point. Suddenly, things click. You start improving rapidly, and before you know it, you're competent or even proficient. But most people quit during the frustrating early phase. They never get to experience the exponential growth that comes later. So, when you're learning a new skill, expect it to be hard at first. Expect to suck at it. That's normal. That's how learning works. Don't let that discourage you. Keep showing up. Keep practicing. Trust the process. The breakthrough will come. Let me give you another real example. There's a guy named Kevin who works in sales. He's in his 40s and realized that video content was becoming increasingly important in his industry. But Kevin had zero experience with video creation or editing. He didn't even know where to start. He felt intimidated and old, like he'd missed the boat on technology. But instead of giving up, Kevin decided to learn. He watched YouTube tutorials. He experimented with his phone camera. He made terrible videos that made him cringe. But he kept going. He joined an online community of videographers and asked for feedback. He took a course on video editing. He practiced every week. After 6 months, Kevin's videos weren't just decent, they were good. After a year, they were excellent. He started creating video content for his company's clients, and it became his competitive advantage. Sales that used to take weeks now closed in days because his video presentations were so compelling. Kevin went from being intimidated by video to being his company's go-to expert, all because he was willing to learn and push through the discomfort. Now, let's address a common objection. I don't have time to learn. I'm already overwhelmed with everything I have to do. I hear this a lot, and I get it. Life is busy. But here's the truth. You don't have time not to learn. In a world that's constantly changing, not learning is the riskiest thing you can do. You're betting your future on your current knowledge staying relevant. That's a losing bet. Also, learning doesn't require huge blocks of time. You can learn in the margins. Listen to audiobooks or podcasts during your commute. Read during your lunch break. Watch educational videos while you eat breakfast. Take an online course on weekends. 10 to 15 minutes here, 20 to 30 minutes there. It adds up faster than you think. And here's something most people don't realize. Learning gives you energy. It doesn't take it away. When you're learning something interesting and valuable, you feel motivated and excited. It breaks up the monotony of routine. It stimulates your brain. It reminds you that you're growing and improving. That feeling is energizing. I want to share one more powerful insight about learning. It's this: learning without application is just entertainment. You can read 100 books, take 50 courses, and listen to 1,000 podcasts. But if you never apply what you learn, nothing changes. You're just consuming information, not transforming your life. So, here's the rule. For everything you learn, ask yourself, how can I use this? What's one thing I can implement this week? Then do it, even if it's small, even if it's imperfect. Application is where learning becomes power. Here's your action step for Habit 7. Right now, identify one area where you want to grow. Maybe it's a skill you need for your career. Maybe it's a topic you're curious about. Maybe it's something that will help you achieve a specific goal. Write it down. Then, commit to spending just 20 minutes a day learning about it for the next 30 days. Read a book. Take an online course. Watch tutorials. Whatever works for you. Just 20 minutes a day. Do this, and I guarantee you'll be amazed at how much you grow in just 1 month. Remember, the world rewards people who keep learning and growing. It has no place for people who stagnate and coast. Which one will you be? The choice is yours. But if you commit to being a lifelong learner, there's no limit to what you can achieve. Now, let's move on to Habit 8. Because all the learning in the world won't help you if you're surrounding yourself with the wrong people. Your environment shapes your destiny more than you realize. Let's dive in. Habit number 8. Surround yourself with the right people. Your environment determines your growth. There's a saying you've probably heard before. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's been attributed to motivational speaker Jim Rohn, and it's one of the most powerful truths about human psychology. The people around you shape who you become. They influence your beliefs, your habits, ambitions, and your results. Think about it. If you hang out with people who complain constantly, you'll start complaining more. If you spend time with people who have no goals and no drive, you'll find your own motivation fading. If you surround yourself with negativity, pessimism, and mediocrity, that's what you'll become. It's not a conscious choice. It happens automatically. Your brain is wired to conform to the group. It's called social conditioning. But here's the flip side. If you surround yourself with ambitious, positive, growth-minded people, you'll naturally become more ambitious, positive, and growth-minded. If your friends are reading books, building businesses, taking care of their health, and pursuing meaningful goals, you'll be inspired to do the same. Excellence is contagious, but so is mediocrity. Let me tell you a story that drives this home. There's a guy named Tyler who used to be stuck in a dead-end cycle. He had big dreams when he was younger, but by his late 20s, those dreams had faded. He was working a job he didn't care about, spending his evenings watching TV and playing video games with his roommates. His friends were nice people, but none of them had any real ambition. They'd talk about ideas occasionally, but never take action. They'd make jokes about people who tried too hard or took life too seriously. Tyler wasn't happy, but he was comfortable, and everyone around him was living the same way, so it felt normal. Years went by like this. Then, one day, Tyler's company sent him to a conference in another city. At this conference, he met a group of people his age who were completely different. They were starting businesses, traveling the world, learning new skills, building exciting lives. They had energy and enthusiasm. They supported each other and celebrated wins. Tyler was blown away. He realized he'd been living in a bubble. He'd accepted mediocrity as normal because everyone around him had accepted it too. That weekend changed his perspective. When he got home, he made a hard decision. He needed to change his environment. Tyler started attending local entrepreneur meetups. He joined online communities of people working on side projects. He distanced himself, gradually and respectfully, from friends who weren't supportive of his growth. It wasn't easy. Some people didn't understand. Some felt abandoned. But Tyler knew he had to do it. Within a year, Tyler's entire life had transformed. He started a side business that eventually became his full-time income. He got into the best shape of his life because his new friends prioritized fitness. He traveled to places he'd only dreamed about. And, most importantly, he was happy, excited about life, growing as a person, all because he changed his environment. Now, I'm not saying you need to cut off everyone in your life and find new friends. But I am saying you need to be intentional about who you spend time with. You need to audit your social circle and ask yourself some tough questions. Question 1. Do the people in my life inspire me or drain me? After spending time with them, do I feel motivated and energized, or do I feel exhausted and negative? Pay attention to this. Energy is a great indicator of whether someone is lifting you up or pulling you down. Question 2. Are the people in my life growing or are they stagnant? You don't need to surround yourself with millionaires or celebrities, but you do need people who are actively working on themselves. People who have goals and are taking steps toward them. People who read, learn, and improve. If everyone around you is exactly the same as they were 5 years ago, that's a red flag. Question 3. Do the people in my life support my goals, or do they undermine them? This is critical. When you share an idea or a goal, do the people around you encourage you or discourage you? Do they say, "That's awesome, how can I help?" Or do they say, "That'll never work, don't waste your time"? Surround yourself with cheerleaders, not critics. Let me share another perspective. There's a concept called the crab bucket mentality. If you put crabs in a bucket, when one tries to climb out, the others will pull it back down. Nobody escapes. Some people are like that. When they see you trying to improve or achieve something, they'll try to pull you back down to their level. Not because they're bad people, but because your growth makes them uncomfortable. It highlights their own lack of progress. You need to recognize these people and limit your exposure to them. Again, I'm not saying be cruel or cut everyone off, but you need to protect your mental space and your momentum. Spend less time with people who drain you and more time with people who fuel you. Now, let's talk about how to actively build a positive environment. Strategy 1 is seek out people who are ahead of you. Find people who are where you want to be in 5 or 10 years. Learn from them. Model their habits and mindsets. This doesn't mean you need direct mentorship from billionaires, though that's great if you can get it. It could be as simple as following inspiring people on social media, reading their books, listening to their podcasts. Immerse yourself in the wisdom of people who've achieved what you want to achieve. Strategy 2 is join communities aligned with your goals. If you want to be an entrepreneur, join entrepreneur groups. If you want to get fit, join fitness communities. If you want to be a writer, join writing groups. Being around people with similar goals creates accountability, support, and camaraderie. You'll push each other to keep going when things get tough. Plus, you'll learn faster because you can share strategies and experiences. I'm part of a mastermind group of 6 people who are all working on growing their businesses. We meet virtually once a week for an hour. We share our wins, our struggles, our strategies. We hold each other accountable to our goals, and we celebrate each other's progress. That 1 hour per week has had a massive impact on my business and mindset. I'm more motivated, more focused, and more successful because of that group. Strategy 3 is be the kind of person others want to be around. This is important. You can't just take from your environment, you have to give. Be positive, be supportive, be someone who adds value to others, celebrate other people's wins, offer help when you can. Be the friend you want to have. When you show up this way, you naturally attract other high-quality people into your life. Strategy 4 is curate your digital environment. In today's world, your environment isn't just physical, it's digital too. Who you follow on social media, what content you consume, what groups you're part of online, all of this shapes your mindset. If your social media feed is full of negativity, drama, and comparison traps, it's toxic. Unfollow and mute aggressively. Follow people who inspire you, educate you, and make you think. Your digital diet is just as important as your physical diet. Let me tell you about someone who took this to an extreme. Her name is Nicole, and she's a graphic designer. Nicole realized that her Instagram feed was making her miserable. Every day she'd scroll and see other designers with seemingly perfect lives and perfect work. She'd compare herself and feel inadequate. It was destroying her confidence and creativity. So Nicole did something radical. She unfollowed everyone, every single account. Then she started over. She only followed accounts that genuinely inspired her and taught her something valuable. No influencers posting perfect lifestyles. No accounts that made her feel bad. Just pure inspiration and education. The result? Her mental health improved dramatically. Her creativity flourished. And her work got better because she wasn't constantly comparing herself to others. You have more control over your environment than you think. Yes, you might have family members or coworkers you can't avoid. That's okay. You don't have to cut them out, but you can choose how much time and energy you give them. And you can deliberately build a positive environment in other areas of your life that outweighs the negative influences. Here's your action step for Habit 8. This week, do an environment audit. Make 3 lists. List 1. People who inspire and energize you. These are people you should spend more time with. List 2. People who drain and discourage you. These are people you should spend less time with or set boundaries around. List 3. Communities or groups you want to join. Research and join at least one community aligned with your goals this month. Then, take action. Reach out to someone from List 1 and schedule time together. Set a boundary with someone from List 2 if necessary. Join the community from List 3. Small actions in this area create massive ripples in your life. Remember, your environment is not something that happens to you. It's something you create. You have the power to design an environment that supports your growth, fuels your ambition, and brings out the best in you. But you have to be intentional about it. You have to make choices. And sometimes you have to make hard choices. But I promise you, when you surround yourself with the right people, everything becomes easier. You're more motivated, more accountable, more inspired. You start believing bigger things are possible because you see other people achieving them. And that belief becomes fuel for your own 10x growth. We've covered incredible ground in this section. You've learned why continuous learning is essential in a rapidly changing world, and how to make it a daily habit. And you've learned how your environment and the people around you shape your trajectory more than almost anything else. These two habits, learning and environment, are force multipliers. They accelerate everything else you're doing. When you're constantly growing through learning, and you're surrounded by people who push you to be better, there's no limit to what you can achieve. But we're not done yet. We have 2 more critical habits to cover. In the final section, we're going to talk about consistency, the one habit that makes all the others work, and gratitude, the mindset that sustains you through the journey. Get ready, because we're heading into the home stretch, and these final 2 habits will tie everything together. Habit number 9. Consistency is the real magic. We're at habit number 9, and this might be the most important of all. You can have the perfect plan, laser focus, clear priorities, and amazing health, but without consistency, none of it matters. Consistency transforms intentions into results. Think about it. One gym session won't get you fit. One healthy meal won't make you lose weight. One study session won't make you an expert. One-time efforts don't create lasting change. But small actions repeated daily, that's where magic happens. There's a concept called the compound effect. Small, smart choices made consistently over time create massive results. Like compound interest, growth starts invisible but multiplies exponentially. Most people quit too early. They don't see immediate results and assume it's not working. They give up right before the breakthrough. Here's the truth. Consistency beats intensity every time. 20 minutes of daily exercise outperforms one brutal weekly workout. 15 minutes of daily reading beats monthly 5-hour binges. Sustainable, consistent effort always wins. The biggest obstacle? Relying on motivation. Motivation gets you started, but it's fleeting. One day you're fired up, the next you're exhausted. If you only act when motivated, you'll never be consistent. That's where discipline enters. Discipline means doing what needs to be done whether you feel like it or not. Like brushing your teeth. You don't wait for motivation, you just do it. Here's a powerful strategy. Habit stacking. Attach new habits to existing ones. Want to meditate? Stack it onto your morning coffee. After I pour coffee, I'll meditate 5 minutes. The existing habit triggers the new one, making consistency easier. Another strategy, track your progress. There's psychological power in streaks. 10 straight days? You won't want to break that on day 11. Get a calendar. Put an X on each day you complete your habit. Watch the chain grow. Don't break the chain. And here's the beautiful part. The more consistent you are, the easier it becomes. At first, it takes willpower. After a few weeks, it becomes automatic. It becomes who you are, not just what you do. That identity shift is powerful. Pick one habit, just one. Commit to it for 30 days. Track it. Don't break the chain. Prove to yourself you can be consistent. That's how you achieve 10x growth. Habit number 10. Practice gratitude and positivity. Imagine two people with identical circumstances. One wakes up thinking, another day of the same grind, nothing changes. The other thinks, another day to work toward my goals. I'm healthy. I have opportunities. Which one succeeds? Which one is happier? Your mindset shapes your reality. Gratitude is the foundation of a positive, growth-oriented mindset. When you focus on what you have rather than what you lack, everything changes. More energy, more resilience, more creativity, more motivation. Science proves this. Researchers have found people who practice gratitude regularly experience better mental health, physical health, stronger relationships, and greater career success. Why? Gratitude shifts your focus from problems to possibilities. It trains your brain to see opportunities instead of obstacles. How do you make gratitude a daily habit? First, keep a gratitude journal. Every night, write 3 specific things you're grateful for. Not generic, my family, but specific moments. My daughter made me laugh. My coworker helped with that project. Specific gratitude makes you relive positive moments. Second, take gratitude walks. Instead of listening to music, reflect on what you're grateful for. Appreciate your environment, the trees, the sky, your ability to move. Third, express gratitude to others. Don't just feel it, tell people. Text someone thanking them. Write a note. Give genuine compliments. This strengthens relationships and creates positive energy. Beyond gratitude, cultivate general positivity. This doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means focusing on solutions instead of problems. Believing in possibilities instead of limitations. Seeing setbacks as learning opportunities instead of failures. Try positive affirmations. Every morning, say affirming statements. I am capable of achieving my goals. I am growing every day. At first, it feels awkward. Over time, these sink into your subconscious. They become default beliefs, and beliefs drive behavior. Start tonight. Begin a gratitude journal. Write 3 specific things before sleep. Do this 30 days straight. Every morning this week, say 1 positive affirmation out loud. Notice how these practices change your mindset and energy. Remember, gratitude and positivity aren't luxuries, they're necessities. They're fuel that keeps you going when things get hard. They make all other habits sustainable. Pursuing 10x growth is challenging. You'll face obstacles, setbacks, bad days. Without a positive, grateful mindset, you'll quit. With it, you'll keep going. You'll bounce back. You'll find strength to try again. Conclusion: your 10x growth starts now. We've covered 10 powerful habits that will transform how you use time and multiply your results. Habit 1. Plan your day, or your day will plan you. Habit 2. Beat distractions, or they'll beat you. Habit 3. Invest your energy in the right places. Habit 4. Beat procrastination through action. Habit 5. Set clear priorities. Habit 6. Don't ignore your health. Habit 7. Never stop learning. Habit 8. Surround yourself with the right people. Habit 9. Consistency is the real magic. Habit 10. Practice gratitude and positivity. These habits aren't complicated, but they're powerful. You don't need to implement all 10 perfectly tomorrow. That's overwhelming. Pick 1 or 2 first. Master those. Build consistency, then add another. Over time, these habits compound and become part of who you are. The real question: what will you do with this knowledge? Will you feel inspired for a day, then return to old patterns? Or will you take action? Will you stop wasting time and start investing it? Time is the one resource you can never get back. Every day that passes is gone forever. You can make more money, find new opportunities, rebuild relationships. But time? Once spent, it's spent. The cost of inaction isn't just staying where you are. It's losing irreplaceable time that could build the life you want. Imagine yourself 1 year from now. You implemented these habits, planned your days, protected your focus, invested energy wisely, took consistent action, surrounded yourself with the right people, never stopped learning, took care of your health, practiced gratitude. Where are you? What have you achieved? How have you grown? Now imagine the opposite. 1 year from now, you're exactly where you are today. Same job, same habits, same results, same frustrations. Because you changed nothing, kept wasting time, kept getting distracted, kept procrastinating. The gap between those futures is the choice you make today. Right now, not tomorrow, today. Choose to implement even one habit now, and you set yourself on the path to a better future. Choose nothing, and you stay on your current path. Here's my final challenge. Before you close this audiobook, Make one commitment. Pick one habit. Write it down. Do it today. Not perfectly. Just take one small action. Planning? Write your top 3 priorities for tomorrow. Focus? Do a 30-minute distraction-free work session now. Gratitude? Write 3 things you're grateful for. Just do something. Take one small step. Because here's the secret. 10x growth doesn't come from one massive leap. It comes from thousands of small steps taken consistently in the right direction. And the first step starts now. You have everything you need. The knowledge, the time, 24 hours like everyone else. The ability. The only question, do you have the commitment? Are you willing to stop wasting time and start building the life you've always wanted? I believe you are. I believe you're ready. Your 10x growth starts today. Stop wasting time. Start investing it. Watch your life transform. Now go make it happen. I'm rooting for you.